Hi, I am Jade, the Tiny Town Association's AI presenter. This is our Affordable Living in Micro, Tiny, and Small Home Communities presentation for the 2023 Canadian Rural and Remote Housing and Homelessness Symposium. These factory-built, Ontario Building Code compliant homes range in size from 200 to 400 square feet and are complete self-contained units. We will collectively refer to them as tiny homes. Tiny home communities can be built connected to municipal services and off-grid using private communal components. Let's set the stage by looking at housing in Ontario. 75% of the family structure is made up of 3 people or less. Only 37% of the housing is 1- and 2-bedroom units, the size that would accommodate the majority's needs. 75% of the population lives in 25 major cities. The remaining 25% are scattered across 479 cities, towns, and hamlets in rural Ontario. While high-density housing is the only form that makes sense in large cities, most people that live in rural communities have chosen to avoid this type of housing. A big question is, where do we expect most new housing construction to take place? The Ontario government has stated we need 1.5 million housing units built over the next 10 years. The traditional housing industry, over the last 12 years, has only been able to build about 58,000 units each year. If both the federal and provincial government's initiatives can increase housing development by 50% to 90,000 units per year, we are still going to be short over 625,000 units by 2032. If we look at housing needs as a function of population, rural Ontario needs 378,000 additional units over the next 10 years. 284,000 which could be addressed with tiny homes. So, what new options can provide affordable housing rapidly in rural areas? One option is embracing tiny homes and tiny home communities. Here are key reasons to consider this form of housing. If we look at the family structure, 75% fit the tiny home demographic of 1 to 3 people. While the square foot cost of a tiny home may be more than high density, their small size makes them the least expensive form of housing of any type. Where it can take years to complete high-density housing that remain empty during construction, tiny homes can be occupied once they are connected to services, which means people are housed faster. Factory-built homes, in controlled environments, can be completed year-round, in under a week. This means as many as 52 new units can be available each year. Tiny homes do not require the same level of building expertise as high-density housing, so more locations can be building more housing faster. Multiple tiny home communities can be developed at the same time across the province. After studying tiny home communities across the US and Europe, we have found that successful developments are focused on building community, not just providing affordable housing. Tiny home communities can be all-age, all-income inclusive housing developments offering affordable rentals, rent-to-own, and affordable-to-purchase housing. The largest room in a tiny home is the outdoors, so planning communities with shared outdoor and indoor space for the winter months is important to their success. Community centers can also provide centralized utility services for the development in rural areas. Mixed-age communities mean they can self-manage much of their operations and citizen needs. Tiny home communities can be as few as 6 homes on a communal waste system or hundreds of homes in planned developments. Tiny home developments can include outdoor and indoor gardening systems to replace any farmland converted to affordable housing. Many people ask, how do we know people will want to live in a tiny home, rather than a condo, semi-townhouse, or detached home? Unfortunately, this demonstrates how disconnected with the housing crisis these people really are. We think the question should be, would people rather live in a tiny home or stay where they are now? During conversations with towns, cities, and municipalities across the province, the same areas of housing concern arise everywhere. Employee housing, not only from availability, but also from an employee retention perspective, is a big concern. Many employers are facing employee shortages and high turnovers because there is nowhere to live. Seniors face leaving their hometowns or staying in their family homes because there are no downsizing options. This impacts the resale market of family-sized housing when seniors remain overhoused. Potential first-time homeowners find it impossible to locate affordable housing, whether to build equity or to accommodate a larger family unit. Minimum wage earners are finding it increasingly difficult to find affordable housing of any kind. With all this information, there can be many unanswered questions, and here are a few that come to mind. Can tiny homes meet all the housing needs in rural Ontario? No, but we believe they can be a part of a solution that can increase housing across all demographics. Will this be a simple fix? No, city and town councils need to see that these communities can be like other developments, only with smaller homes that provide housing where options are limited. Can this happen today? Yes, and no, as the province needs to make changes that support tiny home communities outside established settlement areas. Are any areas in the province supporting this form of housing? Yes, a growing number of towns, cities, and municipalities are incorporating tiny home communities into their housing strategies. Who will fund the developments? The provincial and federal governments need to fund these developments to keep the housing affordable. We have calculated that with 16.8% direct support, and the balance as traditional long-term financing, these communities can operate without any ongoing government funding. How can the private sector participate? This will create an unprecedented opportunity for investors to achieve over 26% annual returns in the manufactured tiny home industry during the next 10 years. Thank you for allowing us to share with you our tiny home community vision. 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years is an ambitious goal, but a necessary one if we are to move closer to providing housing for the people of Ontario. If you would like more information on our initiatives, would like to invest in a manufacturing facility, or are looking to partner on a community development, visit our website or reach out to us directly. Thank you.